And we're going to Flightdeck Live, powered by SportBuff. If you go to sportbuffshop.com and use the code Flightdeck10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. Pine, on location at Université Laval for Alouettes Training Camp. Happy Victoria Day, happy Journée de Patria, whatever you are celebrating today.
Happy May long weekend.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Put it best way to put it, holiday Monday. Happy holiday Monday to each and every one of you in Canada.
Exactly.
Because if you're watching in the United States, unfortunately, it's not a holiday.
That's next week.
That's next week. Y'all get Memorial Day. Be happy with that.
Yeah. It is again. It's game week. It's game week for the Alouettes starting today. They do play their preseason game on Friday versus the Ottawa Red Blacks, and it really did seem to be what it was on Saturday. Cliff, it was a slightly different type of practice. Obviously, we had the 2 days. Obviously, that's one of the big differences today. Mm-hmm. But I think before we lead anything else, because we don't want to really bury the lead, is that before practice started today, the Alouettes made some very interesting announcements on additions to this roster.
Yeah, transaction-wise, some moves had to be made, especially at the quarterback position, because Davis Alexander, Dustin Crum, those guys are automatically penciled in. Some cuts were made earlier in the week with Dresser Wynn and E.J. Perry being shown the door. That left Anthony Brown as one of the quarterbacks, but as we saw on Saturday, he was out there, but no helmet on, taking no reps, so we have to believe he's injured in some capacity. So what do you do at that point? Well, if you're the Montreal Alouettes and you've got this situation, you go out and you get more quarterbacks. And that's exactly what they did. Bringing back quarterback from last season, James Morgan, to the lineup. Some people felt he shouldn't have been let go, but okay, all right, it's a numbers game. Sometimes these things happen. It's the business part of things when it comes to sports. But James Morgan is back in the fold, and having spoken with him, very excited to be back, very excited to be relearning this offense, and anything he can do to help out Davis Alexander, he's ready to do. But wait, there's more. Also, and this move is kind of interesting for a number of reasons, which we'll get to momentarily, but the Montreal Alouettes have also added former quarterback of this very stadium, of the Université de Laval Rouge et Or, Arnaud Desjardins is now a member of the Montreal Alouettes. Why is this interesting, you ask? Well, yes, the Alouettes do need quarterbacks. He did have a very successful college career. However, could this be considered a PR stunt of sorts? Because, and I'll explain myself in a second.
Right. Yeah. I'm about to say, we'll have to give context.
Yes, that's the plan. We're giving context. Is the fact that we're here at training camp at Université Laval. A former member of the Rouge et Or being signed to the team that's practicing in here and possibly getting a shot to be a quarterback in Montreal. Is he going to get any actual reps? Is he going to actually get a chance to do anything as far as be a part of this offense, to really learn from Anthony Calvillo, Davis Alexander, and so on? That's going to be the big question, I think, going into this week at training camp, and ultimately leading up to Friday's game, is to whether or not Arnaud Desjardins is going to be truly a part of this offense, is going to truly get a chance to showcase what he can do, or was just filling a camp spot, so to speak.
And to give a little bit more context too, is that, the other day on Saturday, is that really it was just Davis Alexander and it was Dustin Crum. And obviously heading into the first preseason, Cliff, as you know, is that they just could not go with two quarterbacks, especially if their third is currently hurt. And as was the case today, obviously he was on the sidelines also. And this may, I think, obviously, you and I were musing after camp and after the show on Saturday, what had to be done. And sure enough, they brought some people in order to make sure that on Friday, it just isn't the Davis and Dustin show.
No, absolutely not. And some moves were definitely going to have to be made no matter what. It's just a simple matter of who. But now we know who it is. It's going to be James Morgan that's going to be helping carry the load on Friday, because truthfully, Davis Alexander is going to get one, maybe two series, maybe play the first quarter.
Yeah.
Anything past that,
being at home, yeah.
That's it. Being a home game, preseason, all that stuff. obviously you don't want to burn the guy out, or you don't want to put him in a possible potential situation where he might re-injure himself. So just let him get a couple reps, especially for the hometown crowd.
Yep.
And then let's see what the other quarterbacks can do. So this is a great opportunity. It'll be a great opportunity for Dustin Crum to step in to what is his new home stadium against his former team, no less. Chance for James Morgan to remind everybody what he's capable of doing. And now possibly Arnaud Desjardins maybe getting some reps as well. I don't want to call them token reps or anything like that. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's really a chance to really evaluate him as a quarterback to see what he is able to do, if anything. So that's going to be one of the many interesting storylines that you can see this coming Friday at Percival Wilson.
Now, I want you to give a little bit more context on what you're talking about before on the potential signing being maybe be seen as a PR stunt. Give a little more context on what your thoughts are.
I just did.
I mean, what would really be the reason why? I mean, yes, we know what happened last year with Seneca. We get that. I mean, do you think that this one's slightly different? Because now they actually have 4 quarterbacks. With Seneca in last year, I think we had 5 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's there to help, obviously. But as you're saying, it will come down to how many reps he actually gets, as you said.
That's going to be the key. Is going to be how many reps are, like, especially during practice this week, or during training camp, I should say, this week. We'll see how many reps he truly does get behind center. I mean, it's again, still you got to learn the playbook. You still got to learn the system, and you got to learn how to work with these receivers and everything like that. But I'm curious to see how it's going to be, because again, it makes for a great story. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but at the same time, is he truly going to get an opportunity to showcase what he can do as a quarterback in this league? Yes, no, maybe. I guess we'll find out this coming Friday.
Yeah, obviously everyone remembers what Seneca got last year. He really got nothing last year. It was in the second preseason game, and it was one series. If it was that, you have one series and out, if I remember correctly. And then James Morgan came back in, if I remember correctly, to finish the game. But as you said, we'll see what's going to happen. Let's also talk about today was a very interesting day. We talked to obviously Tyson Philpott at post game, and he was actually singing the praises of the offense today, especially the wide receivers, because I will admit, Cliff, it wasn't just Tyson. It wasn't just Snead. It wasn't just Speaker. We had some absolutely outstanding play today, especially by this wide receiver core.
Definitely. And that's what's so exciting to see, because these are your established guys that we just mentioned. But now it's when they're singing the praises of the guys that are, I don't want to say beneath them, but I guess behind them on the roster chart. When they're saying, yeah, these guys are good. These guys are really, they're pushing. And that's what we absolutely love to see that. We talk about iron sharpens iron. We talk about, competition making things better. And I think that's what it is, because Tyler Snead today looked absolutely phenomenal. Cole Speaker made some guys look foolish, quite frankly, on defense, just the way he was able to move. And yeah, so is that because these other guys are kind of, I don't want to say chomping at the bit necessarily, but they want to show the case of what they can do. They want to prove that they belong on this team, whether it's on the active roster or even getting a practice roster spot. They want to be a part of this organization, and they're doing everything they can to do so. Again, I'm reminded again, we've been talking about Tariq Owens and how well he's been playing the few times that we've seen him live. Today was no exception. He made a couple of absolutely jaw-dropping catches, and just out of nowhere. And the relationship between him and Dustin Crum cannot be overlooked, because everybody's going to be looking at Davis Alexander and Tyson Philpott as the 1-2 combo, like the go-to,
the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are your superstars that you expect to see, but it's the depth that you're going to be asking questions about. And if Dustin Crum and Tariq Owens have that connection, and eventually Tariq Owens, maybe he gets to be in with the ones as well, and Davis gets a chance to work with him as well. If he can produce like he's been producing against with the twos, as they say, there's definitely a lot to like here, folks.
Yeah, exactly. And what else can we talk about? And we were able to speak with actually a new addition and newest returnee, I guess we could say, Micah Awe, real quickly as he was coming off the field today. And I made a comment to you specifically, is that as we've talked with many players in the past, a lot of these players, they're really hard on themselves. I mean, they are extremely hard on themselves. But it was very interesting, Micah's take to returning, obviously, to Montreal, and what he wasn't really looking himself at specific numbers that he made last year. The thing that made the most to him last year was becoming a CFLPA All-Star. His peers gave him that accolade. What else did you take away from what Michael was saying to us?
I had asked him if it was a case of unfinished business as far as coming back to the Alouettes, especially after having a stellar season with the BC Lions, which made one has to wonder why they would let someone of that caliber go.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they did pick up Darnell Sankey, so that kind of made Micah expendable, I guess, in their eyes. And I'm sure that had to be messing with his head just a little bit. Like, what do you mean I'm not good enough? Like, look what I did last year. And I mean, unfortunately, that is football for a lot of people. Like, we talk about the business aspect of things, and sometimes it really comes down to, well, what have you done for us lately?
Yeah.
And kind of crazy to think about. Like, he had such a fantastic campaign last season that should have been a no-brainer for the BC Lions to keep him, but for whatever reason, they decided not. They went with Darnell Sankey, which, okay, people could be asking the same thing with the Montreal Alouettes. Well, what did Darnell Sankey do wrong that he's no longer a part of the Alouettes?
Good, actually, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so in a weird sort of way, it almost feels like there was a trade between the two teams.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
in a roundabout kind of way, but now Micah's here. Like, he's been here before. He's seen what this organization is capable of, and he wants to be a part of it. And that's what I love. I love the fact that he saw the success that they had without him. Is like, no, I can contribute. I can be a part of this. I want to be a part of this. So I think for him, coming to the Alouettes was an absolute no-brainer, and he's been showcasing what he's able to do as well. And for me, I think he's got all the potential in the world. I think he definitely is someone who can contribute and be a major part of this defense. I just hope for him, I don't want to say forgets what happened in BC and how they treated him. In a sense, they kind of did him dirty, but if he's going to use that as motivation, especially when they play the Lions, okay, fine, I can get behind that. But at the same time, I hope that he doesn't let that define his time here in Montreal. I hope he's able to grow past it and really reestablish himself as one of the premier defensive players in this league.
And I would not be surprised to. And then we've seen some guys claim they're not superstitious. Some guys claim it's not all about the stats. Some guys claim it's not. You know what? I'll be honest with you, Cliff. If he's able to use this as mentally as bulletin board material in his head the entire year, and it helps him improve himself, by all means, use it.
Absolutely. I mean, and sometimes that's what it takes for athletes. Some guys self-motivate. Sometimes they need that little chip on their shoulder, that little voice in their head saying, no, they don't believe in you. They don't believe you. You got to show them. And maybe this is the case with Micah, is that maybe he needs that little nudge in the right direction.
Yeah.
And hey, if that's what it takes for him to become one of the premier players for the Montreal Alouettes, I am all for it. I think it's definitely something that he can use to his advantage and use very well.
Anything else that we took away from this? As I said, it is game week for the Alouettes. They are getting prepped for the Ottawa Red Blacks in their first preseason game coming up this Friday at Purcell Molson. Anything else you take away from this? And then before we end our quick jaunt here to Quebec City,
one thing I had, I don't want to call anyone out necessarily, but I'm a little disappointed to see the relatively low turnout thus far. We've been here for 3 sessions. We were here day 1. We were here this past Saturday. We're here right now. And if this stadium got 100 people, I'd be impressed. Nowhere close to that, though. I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is. I'm sure people will use the excuse, well, it's a holiday and this and that. Exactly. You're not at work. You're not at school. Especially, everybody keeps thinking that Quebec City is going to be the next place where the 10th CFL team has to be in Quebec City. They've got the market for it. They've got this. They got that. And I'm sorry, but I haven't seen it. Like, to me, I feel like a lot of this kind of smacks of back in 2015 when they played a preseason game here, the Montreal Alouettes and the Ottawa Red Blacks did.
Yeah.
And
4,000.
Yeah, and now I attribute a lot of that to the fact that they were charging regular season prices for a preseason game. It's not a glorified preseason game like you like to talk about. Literally a preseason game. That screamed cash grab more than anything else. So I can accept that for what it is, but for all the supposed talk and fervor of the 10th team being in the CFL, and the league wants to expand by 2030 and yada yada yada, and everybody's looking at Quebec City because they think, Okay, they've got a stadium. They've got this. They've got the means. They should be able to do this. Well, if these stands aren't packed with people watching the Alouettes in training camp, which again costs nothing to attend, where's that fire? Where's that passion? Where's that love of football that I keep hearing so much about here in Quebec City? If I were to go based on what we saw in these past three camp sessions that we've been at, I have to wonder if it's just a matter of, I think they love college football.
I was just about to say that.
They may and this is what I've always felt too, is they love the Rouge et Or. They love, youth sports football. Doesn't necessarily mean that they love the pros and the Canadian Football League.
Now, I was going to say, what is the difference? Because, if you look at the last 3 locations for camp, it's been here in Quebec City, it's been in Saint Jerome, and it's been in Trois-Rivières. What's been the difference? And I don't know. I don't know if it's not necessarily something that's put on the Owls organization on this. Yes, there was the last minute change from Saint Jerome to here. I don't know if that really made a difference because, as you said, it is a holiday Monday. I just don't know what the difference is between these 3 different locations. Is it because Saint Jerome and Trois-Rivières are closer to the city and closer to the island of Montreal proper? You know what I mean? So it's possible. Timing maybe, but makes me wonder if they had decided to schedule the preseason game here this year, what would have happened? But we can only guess.
Well, that's it. I mean, if this was supposed to be, and I've heard rumblings that this training camp was supposed to be a sort of a testing ground, if you will, for the potential of, possibly having, a team here.
Yeah.
Possibly having a preseason game, possibly even doing the combine here at Université Laval.
Yeah.
Again, if this was supposed to be the barometer, the litmus test, what have you, for it, I don't know if the want is there, the desire is there for them to have that. At least the people of Quebec City, anyways, because we always talk about you got to show up and show out.
Yeah.
And so far, I haven't really seen a whole lot of that. Like the diehard fans of the Alouettes, they'll come make the trip, but they're not going to come every single day.
No, and I'm glad, to a small caveat to that, I will admit, I was surprised in the 3 sessions that we came to, the amount of Alouettes fans that came from the island of Montreal and surrounding area. Very surprised.
Yeah, but a lot of them too had said that, they were here the day that they were there. They said, this is the one time I'm going to be here. Like this, I can only be here this one time. Yeah. And I get it, especially because again, it's about a 3-hour drive from Montreal to Quebec City. So yeah. I get you can't make that drive every single day. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of clock, especially with gas being at $2 a liter. I mean, I get it, 100%.
And even taking the train this morning, you wouldn't have made it on time for the first session.
There you go. So I mean, it's tough. I get the Alouettes are wanting to try something different by being here, and I respect them for that. Sometimes you really got to throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I just don't see it sticking right here. The players have had nothing but good things to say about the facilities.
The facilities are fantastic. We're on the field here at Peps. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's only been here for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure for the players, this is absolutely fantastic. They're enjoying this. They're good. But if the goal is to get fans to come and participate in training camp, there's still a lot of work to be done, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we'll see. As I said, we don't know what the contract status is beyond 2026 for here in Quebec City. So I guess we'll find out sometime in the off season what it's going to be, if they do return here or not, or if there will be a modification. I guess we'll find out. Obviously,
a lot will depend, especially with the scheduling as well.
Oh God! Oh yeah. See that's the other thing too. You're all right. You're 100% correct on that. That old adage of thing. Yeah. Just
because I mean, like if you wanted to do the combine here, in theory, you probably could, but that's the combine, and that's a different animal altogether.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actual training camp, and especially with classes still being in session, when training camp is expected to start next year in 2027.
Yep, you're right.
Again, I'm sure concessions will have to be made. I'm sure that a lot of things will have to sort of fall into place, if you will, in order for it to be a successful venture. But do you really want to go that route, or maybe you don't. So I guess again, only time's going to tell. We'll find out what happens next. Let's worry about this season to start, and then we'll
Yeah,
see what happens next year. But that is something that the Alouettes, the University of Laval, and even the Canadian Football League, those are things that they're all going to have to take into consideration.
that's true. That's true. Even to have, they're right. If they were to have a preseason game here, they wouldn't be able to do it technically next year. So but again, that's 27. We're in 26. We gotta keep focused on the current 2026 season that's coming up.
One headache at a time.
Yeah. We have been an absolute joy, has been absolute joy being here, being able to attend camp here and bringing you coverage from Quebec City for those of you who weren't able to make it. It is been an absolute pleasure every year to go wherever the camp is and to bring you guys at least a couple of live shows and stuff like that and content within the first 2 weeks leading up to the preseason game. And speaking of preseason game, this Friday, you will be seeing us post game with Flight Deck Live. As we say, win, lose, or
win or lose. Now.
Yeah, let's say win or lose.
Draw. There is no more draws. There's no more ties. So, yeah, win or lose, regardless of what happens.
We've got to coin something different.
Like I said, win or lose. That's it. Yeah. Let's not overcomplicate it. But yes, we will be live after the game on this coming Friday. So make sure subscribe. Make sure you're following the Alouettes Flight Deck, however you do it, because I don't know what time it will be. Again, the game will not go into overtime in any sense.
No.
But actually, so maybe we'll get a draw.
Because they usually do have them in preseason. They don't usually go into overtime. You are correct, sir. Oh, boy. Well, let's see. We'll have to talk to the commissioner and see what he thinks about that.
If we can get him on the phone.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's thanks everybody here at the University of Laval. It's been an absolute joy. Stay tuned for the show on Wednesday. If you haven't missed any part of this broadcast, you can watch it on X, Facebook, on YouTube, or an audio version shortly over at alouettesflightdeck.ca. So again, it's putting this in the books for us, but it's just the beginning of the 2026 season because we still have a lot more to go.
Absolutely. And just so excited to have the opportunity to come to training camp and do what we're able to do. But it's all that's doing really, though, is just wetting the whistle. Like, it's just getting us hyped for actual game action, which we will see this Friday. And man, it's finally here. Like, the CFL season has finally, come to fruition after a long off season. Now we've got a couple of training camp sessions under our belts, and now it's just a matter of, okay, this is great, but we know how good these guys can be, but let's see them in actual game action against an opponent. And
exactly
this coming Friday, if you haven't got your tickets, I'm sure there's some available still. So.
Yep, yeah, it's still a way to get into the stadium to see the team play and these players who most of it will represent the Alouettes into the 2026 season. So for the final time here on location at Université Laval for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you soon.